This is Kudzu Creative with another quick video, this time on integrated executive marketing campaigns. Now we know two things about executives. The first is that they generally have the authority we need to close a deal. Unfortunately, the second thing we know about them is that most are heavily guarded against all standard flavors of marketing attacks. So we have to do what we should be doing with all our prospects, and that is matching the precise combination of marketing tactics and content to exactly who our prospect is. So this example is from work provided to JDC Group, an Atlanta-based workforce solutions company specializing in helping their clients find precisely the right mid to top tier IT and management candidates. And in order to get the attention of executive level prospects, JDC decided on a type of event that's become very popular of late, a whiskey tasting. So here you can see the whiskeys to be supplied by the beverage company, but one thing you notice is that although the list includes some very nice whiskeys, the flyer itself is completely inappropriate to capture the attention of executives. So we were engaged to create a hard copy invitation suitable to the recipient's positions, way of life, and general level of sophistication. Now this was a very quick turnaround job in which we had no time to order custom paper, so I went into our own inventory of interesting and high-end envelopes, and based on the all-male list of recipients who had been provided, we chose a very heavy stock, masculine, deep chocolate brown envelope set that had faint flecks in the paper that gave it a very rich and custom look and feel. And for the invitations and RSVP cards that would be designed, we needed a coordinating theme. In this case, we chose again, a very simple, solid and masculine coordinating background image, immediately recognizable as a Scotch tartan. So these were our raw materials from which we created the main invitation, which as you can see not only had an extremely high-end look but borrows styles in fonts in the date stamp you see that mimic what we found on vintage whiskey bottle labels. So from here we extended the design and package to include the RSVP card that would be expected to accompany any high-end invitation, and then we decided to really extend the vintage masculine association between whiskeys and famous men's men who had things to say about them. So here you see a quote from Jimmy Stewart, "Whiskey's a slap on the back." And then you see a secondary card to accompany the RSVP full of quotes from famous men's men. Now, interestingly, we didn't initially set out to create this card, but when we looked into famous whiskey quotes, they were mind-blowing and we just couldn't fail to use them in a campaign. So in this case, we used the second card to incorporate the quotes and simultaneously address an objection C-suite individuals often have when they're invited to something, and that is, who else is coming? So the top of the card reads, "Also in attendance will be the strongest of your peers in Atlanta," with emphasis on strongest. And then below that, it reads, "And with you in spirit," with a play on the dual meaning of spirit, of course, with a listing of 4 famous whiskey quotes, beginning with Mark Twain and ending with Dylan Thomas. I have to say, though, my favorite quote was from W.C. Fields. "Always carry a large flagon of whiskey in case of snake bite. And furthermore, always carry a small snake." That's just awesome. Now I really think no matter how important you are, it would be really tough not to appreciate not just the presentation of the items, but the extremely tight connections between themes and overall tone and feel of the invitations being solidly masculine, with the famous quotes giving the impression that event attendees had been extremely selectively invited. Okay, and to make the thematic branding even more tight and clever, we included Mark Twain stamps on the RSVP card envelopes. In the picture you see not only Mark Twain, but O. Henry, who also had fantastic whiskey quotes. He just didn't make the top 5 list. So ultimately, Mark Twain won out and went on all the RSVP envelopes. And here you can see that same timeless, almost sepia-toned whiskey bottle style carrying over even into the design of the return address labels, which again had the date in what appeared to be a vintage stamp. And here you see the individual pieces as they appeared in their envelopes, as well as these same pieces along with the sealed envelopes, which you can see had a sealing sticker designed to match the vintage date stamp, and then finally the invitation stuffed with all its component parts and pieces. So the question you should be asking now is all that attention to detail actually worth it? And the answer is absolutely, and much more so when you're putting together a representation of your company in front of an executive level individual who's probably used to pretty much everything being perfectly presented, sophisticated, and clever. To get that person's attention, you absolutely have to create something that blends theme with message so tightly they can't help but be impressed with your attention to detail, and in this case, your cleverness. Because as we always say, at the end of the day, effective marketing is only about the leads, which is really where we excel. So if there's anything at all we can do to assist you, from a single component of an integrated event marketing campaign to an end-to-end solution, we'd love to hear from you. These are a few of the great companies we've provided work to. We'd love to include you in the mix. Thanks for tuning in.